Hello my gorgeous plant people, welcome back to Reading Mindfully. My name is Ayana and today I am finally doing my spring 2021 houseplant tour. So let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So like I said, I'm doing my spring houseplant tour. I just want to mention a couple things. My plants, one, are not really styled because I think I'm just going to put my plants outside. I think I'm going to end up putting my plants outside next weekend. So some of my plants really aren't styled. And two, I'm going to try to make this video a little bit shorter than my other houseplant tours because honestly I feel like they're too long. But let's go. Alright guys, so the first couple plants we have here are my Sansevieria starfish bonkel, which is the mini starfish. We have the Sansevieria night owl and my Calathea rufibarba. I'm trying to put this one away farthest from the light because as you can see the new growth is still coming out with the backing green. So if I put it further away from the light, then it should hopefully come back with that nice purple backing. And then here I just have my Sansevieria that's usually just there in my houseplant tours. If we come over here to my desk, I just have my Maranta Leucanera erythrionora, or the red vein prayer plant. It's doing really well. Over here is my anthurium section. I just have all my anthurium here so that way it helps me to remember to water these plants hopefully. And so some of these plants I mentioned in my plants I put outside because they were getting on my nerves. But this is my anthurium pendifolium, the anthurium cobra that I got from Exotics that just has not done well ever since I got the plant. Here's my Anthurium metallicum. This is the plant that I was talking about in the ones that I put outside, how it had this huge leaf and then basically the leaf ripped off, but at least it put off a leaf because I've had this plant for a year and this is the first leaf I've gotten, so progress. This is my Veitchii in the newest leaf. Here's my Forgetii. I put this one outside and that's why it developed that big leaf. Here's the Pneumoniae, which is also putting out a new leaf. These are all because I put them outside. The Anthurium regale. This one is not my favorite anthurium. It just keeps crisping up no matter what I do. But it is, as you can see, putting out a new bud there. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Putting out a new shoot there. We have the Anthurium superbum, which has also not done anything for me. And then my Anthurium clarinervium, which looks a little beat up, but she's doing well. I did have a drop in humidity in the winter, and that's where most of this crisping is from. But then it also did put out this new leaf. So with my anthuriums, I'm basically just going to put them outside this summer and see what happens. And then, yeah, I'll report back to you guys. Here I have my Aglaonema key largo from Exotics. I have my Aglaonema red valentine, my Aglaonema sparkling Sarah. My favorite, one of my favorites ever, my bird's nest fern. It's putting out so much new growth. You can see that. It's so beautiful. We have my asparagus fern, which is growing really big. We have some cuttings of my Synapsis exotica because I had my grow light on this ledge. The grow light fell and just massacred that plant, so those are the cuttings. I have the Synapsis splash, which needs water. I put my philodendron white ghost here because it had this white leaf. It instantly browned, and so I'm putting it in less light as a suggestion by other YouTubers. Some of my subscribers suggested putting it in lower light, so that's there. I have my big philodendron cellum, or the matophyllum, and this is the biggest leaf that it's put out. It's got some other growths in here, so this plant is doing well. I have my peace lily next to it, which has put out this leaf as well as this leaf, so I'm pretty sure it's really happy here, so I'm gonna leave it. I was thinking about moving it, but once my plants start putting out growth, I try to leave them where they are. This is my Monstera subtropicana. It's doing okay. I feel like I could be doing better, but it still looks pretty full. And then here we have my philodendron melanochrysum verrucosum cross, which is growing pretty tall. I did just chop it, but it is growing even though I just chopped it. There's its new leaf, and it also has a new leaf on the side where I just potted that cutting. So now I'm going to have two stems of growth, which is awesome. That's how you get your plants to look more full. I have my philodendron pedatum, which is just going crazy. I need to fix it so that all the new growth is not growing that way. I'm going to flip the grow light to the other side. Here's my Syngonium mojito, which is doing well, and this is the newest leaf there. It's doing amazing, and it's got new growth coming. Here's my Syngonium, my Syndapsis trubii, which was looking better, but it's doing all right. And then my latest Sansevieria. And you can see I use boxes to prop up my plants and things like that. And that's what that section looks like if I step back. And then if we come over here, I have my philodendron Birkin. This is not my favorite philodendron at all. I do not like the growth pattern of this philodendron, and it just keeps putting off white leaves. The white leaves don't turn green, so they just stay white, and they either fall off or they just stay small. Over here I have one of my staghorn ferns. Don't mind the dirt on the floor. Another Sansevieria. I have my Thai constellation, which is doing pretty good. I feel like it looks sparse, but this is the newest leaf that it put off. I have my philodendron gloriosum, which this plant has just never really grown for me. I put it outside, and look at the tiny leaf that it put off. And then over here I have my Monstera subpinnata. I have my green rubber tree, which is putting off leaves. I have my this is the huge Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, which, sorry for the backlight, but that's what that plant looks like. And when I did those cuttings, it put off this shoot here, so I do need to put this on the moss pole. This is one of my plants where I'm not really sure what I want to do yet. You can see that I usually cut the plant here, and then it just keeps putting off more shoots and growing taller. So this one is one where I don't know if I want to cut it back, because honestly I'm tired of cutting this plant back, but that'll be one of the plants that I decide what to do with this summer. This is my newest fern. This fern was in a plastic pot. It was in terrible soil. It was root bound. It was so root bound I couldn't undo the roots, and look what happened to it in a matter of days. So I repotted it. I gave it a really good drink of water, and hopefully this fern won't hate me, but I was so sad about this fern. Here is my Ficus taniki, or my rubber tree. Look at these huge leaves that this thing is putting out compared to this one. and it's just because it's under the Sansi light, and you know, it's getting light from my windows. These windows are northeast windows, and it is just putting off really huge leaves. There's a second plant in here too. Over here I have my Ficus Audrey, which is putting out a new leaf. If I can move this. There you go. I have my Albo Syngonium, which is doing pretty well. It's putting off these really cool variegated leaves. As you can see, all my leaves aren't perfect. The white is really hard to keep on these leaves, but I like it when they get more green because they stay longer and they have less marring, but this plant's doing well. This is my Alocasia Frydek. As you can see, I'm getting more leaves on this plant. I've been watering it more and just making sure that it gets a good amount of light, so it's been able to hold more leaves. Here's my Alocasia Maharani, which is getting a new leaf here. It's a really pretty plant. I got my bamboo fern, which has put out some new growth. As you can see this here, that's what the new growth looks like. My Alocasia Black Velvet, which puts off the biggest leaves I just can't even imagine how it just puts off these huge leaves, but they're enormous. And this one's also putting off a new leaf there, so hopefully soon I'll have 4 leaves on there. Not really sure what's gonna happen if I keep getting more leaves and they hold on, but yeah, that's gonna be interesting. Here's my big Philodendron Birkin. Oh no, my Burl Marks. This plant is just so pretty. This is so underrated, but I just love this plant, and it just grows constantly. My ZZ Zenzi. There is my Australian tree fern that's just doing pretty good. I have my big Philodendron McDowell, which it is extremely time to go outside. I mean, I'm so happy that it'll be warm soon because it really needs to go outside. And I also need to propagate it because it has, if you can see there, it has the one long stem that's going that way. And when I propagate it, I'm going to make it go different directions, so that way it'll be a much fuller plant, and I'll definitely do a video on that. I have my Aglaonema Calypso, which is one of my favorite Aglaonemas of all time. It's just so beautiful and it grows so well. My Monstera, which is, I don't know, I guess it's doing all right. I did just cut this back and start all over, and I do like how, you know, shorter, more compact and full it is. There's my Aglaonema Cutlass, which is putting off some growth. My Rhaphidophora decursiva. This, I'm not sure how I really feel about this plant. Sometimes I feel like this plant is so overrated. It is the slowest growing plant. It needs so much light, and if you don't give enough light, it puts off these long you know, offshoots, and you do have to propagate it so that way it just doesn't look like a spindly plant. But that's what I did to mine. I propagated it. This is a propagated side, which is why you see that growth point there, and that growth point there is because I propagated it because I don't like spindly looking plants. Here is my other staghorn fern, my ZZ plant, my big ZZ plant. I love that plant. If we come over here, I have a Calathea zebrina. I just saw that one at the garden center, and I loved how full it was, and so I couldn't help myself. Here's my Calathea trio star. Obviously I need to sweep, but you know. Here's my Calathea Vorjevici. That one hasn't put, this is my only one that hasn't put any growth off yet, and so I'm still waiting to see if that one's going to be okay. Here's my Calathea Ayana. Sometimes this one makes me nervous because when it goes down for the day to accept light, it looks like it's droopy, so you would want to water it, but it really doesn't need water. It's fine. it just looks like that. And then here's the current temperature and humidity in here. It is lower because I had the door open. I've been making a point to keep my humidity lower because it's really uncomfortable to be in a home that has really high humidity. And it's also not good for you. Here's my Sansevieria Bento Sensation that I got from Bros with Hose. This is my Foxtail Fern. That is my Sansevieria Fernwood. And my Maranta Lemon Lime. I just moved this one there. I'm not sure if it's going to stay there. Also, if we come back over here, I have my 2 Calathea orbifolias. And this one is doing so well. These are the new leaves, the light ones. So it's got 3 new leaves. And then this one was the one that got stuck in the mail for 2 weeks. And it's putting off tons of growth. If you can see that. Look at all those new shoots. I'm so excited. But I'm kind of scared at the same time because they're growing really fast. So that's why I have them in this area, as well as when it was over here where this one was. It had stripes of light that was growing across the leaves, and it just looked like it was not enjoying it. So I moved this one over here with this one, since this one was already here and it was doing so well. Alright, so then we come over here, and this is a whole other area. So that's what this is what that area looks like. Forgot to show that. So over here I have a Ming Fern, which I love just the simplicity of this area. I finally found a Sayori Sansevieria from Bros with Hose that was not, super expensive. This is my Philodendron Adapapawense. This is one of the plants I'm thinking about cutting back just because it's getting a little leggy. If you can see at the base, it was more compact, and then it has more distance between the petioles, or the growth points. It has too much distance, so I'm thinking about cutting that back and getting a fuller Adapapawense. But I oftentimes don't see a big version of these, so I don't know. In here, this is my Brazilian tree fern, I believe. This one was getting too much light and it was just drying out too quickly. So I cut back the old, the dying growth and put it here. Here's my Leslie fern, which is doing well. Here's some cuttings of my Aglaonema chocolate and my stripes, which I'm just thinking about getting rid of those altogether. If you saw my updates, you know why. My Syngonium macrophyllum. It's gonna be interesting trying to get in here, but there's my Syngonium. It's pretty full. This is my variegated Stanleyana, which is going like a crazy, it's just gangbusters. What else do we have in here? We should play a game to see how many plants is in this area. This is my Philodendron squamiferum. You can see that. It's a nice sized plant. I need to put it outside so I can get more mature leaves. As you can see, this was the newest leaf and it's not as mature, but it is looking good. And then it has this bud here. I have my Ficus burgundy, which is putting out enormous leaves. And that's the newest leaf. And then it's already got this one there. I have my Ficus ruby, which is putting off the most beautiful pink leaves. As you can see, that was the latest leaf, and this was the one before. And then this one is really putting off a beautiful pink leaf, but this one's just growing like crazy. This plant in the pot hasn't put off any leaves yet, but it's growing really beautifully and it's putting off more pink, which I'm really enjoying. We have my Philodendron melanochrysum, which goes all the way down there. I don't know. This plant started off a lot bigger, if you can see the bottom leaves, and they've gotten a lot smaller, but now they're kind of getting big again. So I kind of just want to see how big these leaves will get before I chop it back. But that's what this plant looks like. A lot of people have difficulty growing this plant, but it's doing pretty well for me. This is my philodendron golden dragon. This is the last leaf that it put off. I was kind of disappointed that this one didn't have more variegation, but maybe when I put it outside, something magical will happen. But it puts off the most beautiful leaves. Below that, I have my Altissima, Ficus Altissima, that's doing pretty well. I have my philodendron Ring of Fire that's putting off nice leaves. This one used to be near my humidifier, and clearly it did not like that. This is what happens with some plants when you let water sit on the leaves. This is why I do not spray my leaves. And if I use a humidifier, I don't like the humidifier to sit next to the leaves, because a lot of plants do not like water sitting on the leaves, and this is what happens. But this is basically like a fungus, and it's not a bad one for this plant because you can see the new leaves grew in without it. So as long as you stop letting the moisture sit on the leaves, then the plant, comes out better, because you can see my newer leaves don't have that condition on there. Alright, so this one is my philodendron nigritans. This plant likes to play kamikaze. Look at how it like snapped itself. Look at that. And it had one here, a new one that it just put out, and it snapped that one too. So that plant, I just can't. This is my bird's nest fern champion. Such a pretty plant. I love the ruffling. And here's some cuttings of my syngonium. I didn't like how they were growing, so I started them all over. But that is how that section looks. So as you can see, this is what my living area looks like. And now we are going to go into the bedroom. Alright, so in my bedroom I don't have a lot of plants, but I kind of like it that way, just so it's more peaceful and relaxing. And here's a pan around of my bedroom. Here's my infirmary area. I have my philodendron mammy here, my philodendron squamifoli, my varicosum that I'm working on. And these are all the plants that in my struggling video. My philodendron mammy and soderoy. And so if you want to learn more about those plants, just check out that video. Here's my philodendron plowmanii, which is just putting off tons of leaves, but I have to work on this plant this summer because it's growing kind of weird. And I could talk about that more in another video. There's my hurricane fern, which is the coolest fern ever. Geez, I need to dust this plant. There's my crocodile fern that I just got. And my moonshine, which is just a really pretty plant. And I feel like it's been growing really well under the Sandy light, but not directly under the Sandy light. And so I moved sage over here because I felt like I was taking over all the space. In the windowsill, I have my money tree that's doing well. I have my variegated burl marks, which is just doing so well. One of the better variegated plants for sure. It's putting off really beautiful leaves. My philodendron fibrosum, which is doing so much better and is putting off a new leaf. My Billietiae, which I'm waiting for this leaf to unfurl, but this was the last leaf that unfurled. Then if we come over here, there's my Calathea medallion number 2. Such a pretty plant. my variegated Maranta Kertroviana, which is putting off a ton of leaves. At first it wasn't doing anything, and so I thought it was because it was variegated, but then it took off and it has this one, this one, this one here. So this plant is doing really well and is about to grow like a crazy thing. But that's what that area looks like. And then down here I just have my Calathea musaica, which I kind of put there to kind of mask the cords, but it's not really doing a whole bunch, but I like it. If we come over here, I have my Calathea medallion, which is doing well. These are the newest leaves, as you can see. Sorry for the lighting. It's kind of dark in my room, which is why these Calathea love it here. I have my whalefin Sansevieria and my Sansevieria trifasciata. Yes, I know this mirror is short. It is standing as a placeholder for a taller mirror that I've been trying to get. But yeah, that's that area. Then over here I have my Aglaonema silverado that my mom got me as a present, and a crinkle fern. Right here I put this on my Instagram. This is my Sinanthe burromarxii. It's growing so fast. I was saying in my update that it hadn't done anything, and then it put out this one, and it's got that one and a couple more in there, so that one's about to take off too. I have my other Calathea zebrina, and it had a lot of damaged leaves. As you can see, all the newer leaves were damaged in the mail because I had it delivered in weather that was below 50 degrees, and this is what happens sometimes. But this one's doing a lot better. It was all flopped over before, but I like it. It's moving in the right direction. This was another prayer plant that suffered. This is my Stromanthe sanguinea. This one is also putting off new growth that is going to be a lot better than this one. And my Stromanthe Magic Star, which is just growing like crazy. Over here I have the prairie plants that haven't liked as much light. So this is my Calathea rattlesnake. I'll move this one. If you can see that, this plant has not liked being in the light. As you can see, the leaves are curling, and it's well watered, so I know it's not a watering issue. It just doesn't like being in bright light. I just watered that plant, so it's not water. This is my Maui Queen, which this one, if I have it any other place, it keeps losing the purple on the backs of the leaves. So I stuck it over here in hopes that it would, continue to give me leaves with the purple backing. I have my rescue snake plant, which I try not to rescue plants like hardly ever. But snake plants, I thought I couldn't go wrong. Here's my Macayana, Calathea Macayana, that wasn't doing well, but that is now putting off growth. If you can see that. It's putting off so much more growth. And here's my Maranta Kertroviana, just a green version. This one is constantly growing and giving me new leaves. This was the last new leaf. It's got this one, that one there. So this one is just growing like crazy, and it really loves this location. But you can see when I step back that plant really isn't getting a lot of light. And then I have my cuttings of my Peru. I started over my Syngonium Pink Splash and it hated me. This is my top cuttings of my varicosum, which is doing some things. My maidenhair fern is doing so well. You can see all that new growth. It's doing so well. I'm so happy with this plant. You just have to keep up on the watering. My Syngenea leucotricha, I don't think I'm doing this one right at all. And then I have cuttings of the Stanleyana variegated in the green version. But as you can see, I keep my room a lot more minimal because it makes me feel less overwhelmed. And then, over there I have my Dischidia ovata, which I always forget to show you guys, but yeah. Alright, so I give you guys one more look at how it looks in here. It does look a little crowded, but I kind of like how busy it is, and it kind of reminds me of a botanical garden. As you can see, I still leave room for me to be able to walk around and function and eat at the table and things like that. But yeah, so like I said, this is my plant tour. I'll try to make it shorter. I wanted to go ahead and film this before I put my plants outside. Like I said, I think I'm doing that next weekend. And so that's why I really haven't styled my plants too much, because I'm just going to put them outside anyway. So alright guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed that houseplant tour. Like I said, I was trying to make it a little bit faster than normal because they tend to be a lot longer. And so yeah, I just give you an update on my plants. Most of them are the same plants that you've already seen. I did add a couple new ones like the calatheas and things like that. But yeah, like I said, I think next weekend I'm going to put my plants outside. I'll show you guys that process. And we'll fix up some plants here and there, because like you saw, there's some plants that I really need to work on, such as my anthurium. I need to work on, some of my philodendron. And so this is why I also like to take breaks of buying new plants, so that way I can work on plants that I already have. And so with the summer, I think I'm going to get some really good growth, and also a time to work on some plants that I need to work on. And so I'll take you guys for the ride and show you what we're going to do, as well as we're also going to try a different kind of fertilizer, because I need to try a different kind of fertilizer. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. And as always, I just want to thank you guys so much for watching my videos, liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.